Ruger Mark III Hunter disassembly, step 1. You're going to want to pry this out and back with something like a screwdriver. Ruger says use a paper clip. Once it's pried out, you want to lift it, you want to leverage, and you want to pull down, and it's out. Then you want to tip the gun up, keep the trigger pulled, slide the bolt out. Drop the magazine. Make sure the hammer is not sticking up at all. If it is, just put your finger in there and push it down. And what we're going to do is, using a rubber mallet, we're going to hammer the top half off the bottom half. Hammer the top that direction. Okay, we're all hammered. That pops off. I'm just going to show you how to disassemble a couple parts of the bolt, not the full thing, but lift this out. That comes right out. Then you're going to drift this pin, and that's going to be able to loosen up the firing pin. There's also a little spring in there that keeps tension on the firing pin. There's that spring and plunger. It sits in this direction, in this pocket right here. Okay, there's nothing really to take apart in the top half of the gun, so we're going to go to the bottom half. Forgive me, I do not know the terminology to all these things, and I've been up all day struggling with this gun. Once I finally figured it out, that's when I figured I'd make a video for anyone else who is having problems. So what we're going to do first, we are going to take this pin from this side and we're going to punch that through that way. It's going to come up. This is going to be the last piece, and we're just going to unhook this from this little nub right here. Very easy. Okay, so we punch that pin out from right there. What we're going to do, take this, all kind of comes out. This part stays attached. You see, you don't really have much control over this when you're doing it one-handed, but all this is kind of a packet that'll come out together. Here is your safety. And this piece was hanging on. This was right there. This is your hammer. This is the part that swings forward, hits the firing pin, so we'll show you how this goes together. This crazy spring right here, and the thing about this is that it tucks on this piece of the metal, so you always know what direction that's going. Lift that off here. I'm trying to watch myself through the camera and it's not working. Okay, this is where the difficulty gets upped a little bit. You have a spring right here. Not sure if you can see that very well, but there's just one wire heading up here. And what we need to do is we need to punch this pin, well, from the other side actually, from the other side. But we need to hold this spring down. So we need to get in there, push it down, and hold it down as we hit from the other side. Okay, so you see all I did was just put it just in front of the pinhole, and all I did was with this brass punch, I stuck it in there, and I didn't even use another punch on this side. I just pressed it until it jumped its rail with that spring keeping it in. That spring rides in a rail on the pin. You'll see that in a second. Okay, there's that pin. That's the rail that the spring rides in. That's why you need to press it down because the spring is underneath on the underside of that pin, so you need to press it down to get it out of that rail. One thing before we fully take this apart, just be sure to keep an eye on this piece, which is a plunger and a spring that keeps force going forward on your trigger. Okay, so when we pull this pin, first thing that needs to come out is this piece right here. Once that gets pulled out and out of the way, this plunger and spring assembly can come out that way. Once that is out, your trigger and trigger bar can be lifted out. You get the idea. Okay, now I'm going to show you the sear. This is the worst part. Pay attention to this. So can you see that orientation of that spring right there? It stays, it kind of fills that little gap in this sear. That's the short leg of the spring. The long leg is against the left side of the frame. It runs behind, well, it runs on this side, the side that I can see of the metal plate in there, and it gets pinned between this bar and the metal plate behind it. So it's wedged in there. It's very hard for me to show you, so I'm sorry about that, but I promise if this was better lighting, you would see a pin. Oh, is that it? That's a little glimpse of it. Okay. You can see that pin wedged between that bar and the plate behind it. That needs to be like that when you put it back together. So again, that long leg runs along the side of the frame, twists around a few times, and then the short leg comes back and hugs the pin that goes through the sear. So the short leg stays on this side of this part, because what it does is you want it to have pressure going back there. Okay, just punch that pin out. Okay, this is what I was talking about. If you're looking down the gun, it's going to be oriented this way. Can't get a good focus on it, but just like that. This is how it is oriented in the gun. Okay, if the barrel was pointing to my left, this is how it would be. If you wanted to remove the mag catch, all you do is unscrew this, and that pulls out. I'm not going to do it.